Okay, so we've got some really interesting material to dive into today, huh? Different perspectives
hmm
on communication and connection and all that. We've got someone tackling those IELTS speaking questions about sleep, a story about a friendship that starts in a philosophy class, and then like just broader thoughts about friendships over a lifetime. So much to unpack.
hmm
But that's what we're here for, right? To pull out the good stuff, especially for those of you who want to learn quickly and deeply and love those aha moments. Let's see what we find.
It really is amazing how these different pieces fit together. I mean, we've got sleep, which is so personal, then friendships and how we connect with others and how those connections change. All of that is tied up with how we live our lives and how we feel, right?
For sure, for sure. Okay, let's jump right in. First up, those sleep questions. How many hours do you usually sleep at night? That's the first one. The speaker in your material, they say they try to get 7 to 8 hours, which makes sense. They also mention using melatonin, but stopped because it made them groggy in the morning. So now it's all about natural wind-down routines. What do you think about that approach?
Yeah, that's a pretty common thing people experience with melatonin. It can be helpful if you need to reset your sleep for a short time. But in the long run, it's much better to work with your body's natural sleep-wake cycle. That's the circadian rhythm we hear so much about, right? And that grogginess the speaker mentioned, yeah, that can definitely be a side effect for some people. So creating a relaxing routine before bed, dimming the lights, avoiding things that get you too stimulated, that's a more sustainable way to tell your body, hey, it's time to sleep now. That's what good sleep hygiene is all about.
It's like giving your body the right cues, huh? Letting it do what it does naturally. The next question is about daytime sleep. Do you sometimes sleep during the day? Why or why not? This person says they aim for a quick midday nap just to kind of hit the reset button. And they even mentioned reading that a 5-minute nap can be beneficial. But they also warn against napping too long because then you just end up feeling more tired. Have you ever experienced that midday reset button effect yourself?
Oh, definitely. The whole idea of a midday nap boosting your brain power, it's actually backed by research. Even a short nap, like 10 to 20 minutes, can make you feel more alert and focused. That reset button feeling for sure. But the speaker is right. Longer naps can backfire. You know that groggy feeling you get sometimes after sleeping too long? That's called sleep inertia. So yeah, you've got to find that sweet spot, a short nap that helps but doesn't make you feel worse.
So it's all about timing, huh? Good to know there's science behind it. All right, this one's relatable. What do you do if you can't get to sleep at night? Why? The speaker here turns to meditation and simple breathing exercises, which makes sense. They also stay away from phone screens because of that blue light messing with melatonin production. They really emphasize creating a relaxing environment. What about you? Have you found these strategies helpful? Or do you have any secret weapons for those nights when sleep is just delusive?
I think those are all really great places to start if you're struggling with sleep. Meditation and deep breathing, they help quiet your mind. We all have those thoughts that keep swirling around, especially at night, right? And that blue light from our phones, yeah, it's a real melatonin killer. So it's smart to avoid screens before bed if you want a good sleep cycle. And then think about your sleep environment. Dark, quiet, cool. All of those things tell your body it's time to sleep. It's actually what sleep experts recommend.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have tried those things at some point. Okay, last sleep question. This one's interesting. Do you ever remember the dreams you've had while you were asleep? The speaker says that most of their dreams just disappear, but some of them are so vivid they stick around, like flying and then falling or being chased. They even had a really scary dream about being stabbed and admitted to Googling what it might mean. Do you ever find yourself trying to figure out what your dreams mean, especially the ones that really stay with you?
It's completely natural to wonder what our dreams mean, especially the really intense or emotional ones. There are all sorts of psychological theories about dreams. Like the activation synthesis theory, it suggests that dreams are just our brains trying to make sense of random neural activity when we sleep. Then you have those psychodynamic theories, like Freud's ideas, that see dreams as symbolic representations of our hidden desires and conflicts, the stuff we don't even realize is going on beneath the surface. It's definitely tempting to Google dream interpretations, but remember that dream symbols are often very personal. That being said, if you have a recurring dream or one that really hits you, it might be worth thinking about the feelings and themes in it. It could give you some insight into what's going on in your life or what's on your mind.
As you think, right? Okay, switching gears completely now. Let's talk about making friends. One of your sources includes this cue card. Describe a time when you met someone who you became good friends with, you should say. Who you met, when and where you met this person, what you thought about this person when you first met, and explain why you think you became good friends with this person. The speaker's story is about meeting someone named Derek. in, get this, a university philosophy course called Logic and Critical Thinking. What are the chances, right? Anyway, they say their first impression of Derek was that he was intelligent, of course, but also approachable and humble, which the speaker really respected. That initial sense of respect seems so important for a friendship to take root, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. First impressions can really set the stage for how a relationship develops. And the combination of intelligence and humility,
Mm.
that's really powerful. It suggests someone who is capable but not arrogant, someone who is more interested in learning and working together than showing off what they know. You know, when someone doesn't have that big ego, it's so much easier to connect with them on a real level.
Totally. So in this story, their friendship really takes off after a particularly tough seminar on deductive reasoning. That stuff can be tricky. Derek ends up offering to explain some of the more difficult concepts to the speaker, and that turns him into a regular study buddy. Thinking back on your own experiences, have you ever found that shared experiences, like going through a challenge together in a learning environment, can be a strong foundation for friendships? I know for me, whenever I've worked through something tough with someone, it's definitely created a bond.
Shared struggles, they really can bring people together. When you go through something challenging with another person, whether it's school, work, or even a personal problem, it creates this feeling of camaraderie and respect. You get to see how the other person thinks, how they deal with difficulties, and how supportive they are. That shared experience builds trust and creates a connection that can grow into a real friendship. It's not just about the task itself, it's about seeing each other's true character.
It's like you go through kind of trial by fire together, huh? And it either strengthens the bond or it doesn't. Now, there's another really interesting element to this story. A key part of their friendship was a shared niche interest in philosophy, especially those big, heady questions about free will and moral responsibility. They would spend hours talking about hypothetical situations and ethical dilemmas. And the speaker says that these conversations weren't just intellectually stimulating, they were fun, and they really made them think. What do you think about that? What role do those kinds of shared interests, especially the slightly unusual ones, play in building strong friendships? It's like finding someone who speaks your very specific language, right?
You're so right. Shared niche interests, they can create incredibly strong bonds. It goes beyond just enjoying the same activities. It's about finding someone who gets your intellectual curiosity, who shares your passion for those less mainstream topics. When you can dive deep into those conversations with someone, really engaging, thought-provoking discussions, it makes you feel truly seen and understood. And those shared passions, they give you a constant source of connection, shared experiences that can keep a friendship going for years, like the speaker and Derek.
It's like finding your tribe, right? And in this case, it's a philosophy tribe. Now, what really stood out to me in this story is the emphasis on honesty. The speaker says the foundation of their friendship was being able to be completely honest with each other, even when they disagreed, without letting ego get in the way. It was all about genuine curiosity and mutual respect. It seems like that deep level of communication right from the start is what allowed the friendship to last. And you know what? They're still in touch, even after all these years since graduation. What do you think are the most important qualities for a friendship, not just to form, but to really last and thrive over time? That honesty and lack of ego, that really struck me.
You've hit the nail on the head. Honesty, respect, and open communication, those are the cornerstones of any lasting friendship. And that lack of ego, so important because it allows you to be vulnerable and really share your true self. When you feel safe enough to disagree or say what you really think without being judged or feeling like the other person is trying to one-up you, that's when real trust and intimacy can grow. It's a foundation that can weather any storm, all those changes and challenges that life throws at us. The fact that this friendship with Derek continued after they finished school, that really speaks volumes about the strength of those core qualities.
It's like building a friendship on solid ground, huh? Yeah. Okay, let's zoom out a bit now and look at some broader ideas about friends and social connections. The first one is, how important is it for children to have lots of friends at school? The idea here is that it's crucial for kids to learn how to cooperate, work through conflicts, and understand different points of view. It also helps them learn something really important, that not everyone is going to like them. What are your thoughts on that? How does that align with what we know about how kids develop socially?
It makes perfect sense when you think about how children develop socially and emotionally. Friendships at school are like a training ground for navigating the complexities of social life. Through their interactions, they learn to share, take turns, develop empathy, and handle disagreements, and experiencing both acceptance and rejection. That's essential for building resilience and a realistic view of how social dynamics work. These early friendships, they lay the foundation for healthy relationships throughout their lives.
Right? Those early lessons are so important. They shape how we see the world and how we relate to others. Okay, here's another thought-provoking one. Do you think it is wrong for parents to influence which friends their children have? The speaker suggests it's not necessarily wrong, but it depends on how it's done. While forbidding certain friendships outright might not be the best approach, guiding kids to recognize red flags and teaching them how to protect themselves is seen as a valuable life skill, especially considering the diverse world we live in. It's a tricky balance, isn't it? What are your thoughts on parents getting involved in their children's friendships?
It's a tough one. It's like walking a tightrope.
Mhm.
If parents try to completely control who their kids are friends with, it can backfire. It can lead to secrecy and resentment. But at the same time, parents definitely have a role in guiding their children towards healthy relationships. It's not so much about telling them who they can and can't be friends with. It's more about giving them the tools to evaluate their own friendships. Teaching them to recognize unhealthy behaviors, understand boundaries, and prioritize their safety. Those are crucial life lessons that can be woven into conversations about their friends. Open communication is usually more effective than just laying down the law.
It's about empowering them, right? Giving them the skills to make good choices for themselves. Now, here's a question about how friendships evolve. Why do you think children often choose different friends as they get older? The explanation given is that as kids grow up, their interests change, their understanding of the world expands, and they naturally start looking for friends who share their evolving values. Building a wider social network can also be beneficial for their future careers. And there's this interesting point that since adults can become a bit stuck in their ways, making new friends can actually help them stay open-minded and flexible. Have you noticed this pattern in your own life or with people you know? It seems like a natural part of growing up.
Oh, absolutely. The friends we have often reflect where we are in our own personal journeys. What we looked for in a friend when we were kids, someone to play with in the sandbox, is going to be different from what we value in a friend as a teenager or an adult. As we get older, shared values and goals might become more important. So this natural evolution of friendships, it's a sign of healthy development. And I love that point about new adult friendships fostering open-mindedness. It's so true. As we settle into our routines and beliefs, new connections can shake things up a bit, challenge our perspectives, and keep us from getting too rigid in our thinking.
It's a good reminder to stay open to new people and new experiences, even as we get older. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about making new friends as adults, which can be a whole different ballgame. The first question is, if a person is moving to a new town, what is a good way for them to make friends? The suggestion here is to join a leisure class for adults, something based on a hobby, like yoga, painting, or cooking. The idea is that it instantly connects you with people who have similar interests and gives you ready-made conversation starters. What do you think? Does that seem like a practical strategy? I mean, it's certainly more proactive than just hoping friendships will magically appear.
I think it's a brilliant strategy, very practical and effective. Shared activities, they provide a natural setting for people to interact and connect. And when you're doing something you enjoy, you're much more likely to meet others who share your passion, right? It creates that instant common ground and opens up all these opportunities for conversations to flow naturally. It takes the pressure off. You're not just trying to force a connection. You're building relationships organically around shared interests.
I like it. It's all about finding those common threads. Now, the next question is about the potential downsides of making friends online. Can you think of any disadvantages of making new friends online? The big one highlighted here is scams, and there are a lot of examples given. AI-generated voices, deep fakes, fake Instagram profiles, and even those scary fraud rings. The speaker really emphasizes how realistic these fake profiles can be, which is pretty concerning. What are your thoughts on the risks involved in forming friendships online? It feels like we have to be so much more cautious these days.
It's true. The internet has opened up amazing possibilities for connecting with people all over the world, but it's also brought new risks, as your source material points out. The thing is, online scams are becoming more and more sophisticated. With all this AI and manipulated media, it's getting harder to tell what's real and what's not. And because many online platforms offer a level of anonymity, it's easier for people with bad intentions to deceive and exploit others. I mean, genuine online friendships definitely exist, but it's crucial to be careful and use your critical thinking skills. If possible, try to verify people's identities and be wary of anyone asking for personal information or money. Navigating the online social world safely requires a healthy dose of skepticism and common sense.
Yeah, definitely. We can't just take everything at face value anymore. Okay, last question. Would you say it is harder for people to make new friends as they get older? The answer given is a bit complex. It acknowledges that being busy with work, family, and all those adult responsibilities definitely plays a role. But there's also this sense that sometimes even invitations from people you've known for a while can feel like they have ulterior motives, like maybe they want something from you. And the speaker talks about how adult friendships can feel transactional and how building trust seems to take more time and energy as we get older and more guarded. Have you found making new friends easier or harder as you've gotten older? I think a lot of people struggle with this.
Yeah, it's definitely something a lot of people can relate to. The demands of adult life, our careers, our families, our routines, they often leave us with less time and energy for cultivating new friendships. And that point about potential ulterior motives, I think that reflects a reality that can make building trust more difficult as we get older. We've had more life experiences, maybe we've been hurt or disappointed, so we might be more selective about who we let into our close circle. And the process of developing that trust and vulnerability, it can take more time and effort. So yeah, while we probably still crave connection, the logistics and perceived complexities of forming new friendships can feel more daunting as we age.
It's like there are more layers to it, huh? More to consider. So we've covered a lot today. We've explored sleep habits, the intricate ways friendships form, and the changing landscape of our social connections. It's amazing how these seemingly everyday aspects of life hold so much depth and complexity. We've talked about being in tune with our bodies when it comes to sleep, the power of shared passions in creating strong bonds, and the need to be both open and discerning in our social interactions, both online and offline. This all leads to an important question for you to ponder. What resonated most with you today? And what one small step might you take, whether it's related to sleep, friendships, or something else, to explore these ideas further in your own life? It's fascinating to think about how even the most familiar things can reveal new layers of meaning when we take the time to truly unpack them.